What do you get when you pay superstar money for a guy who spends more time on the bench than the water cooler? You get Chandler Parsons, the walking, talking definition of how not to spend $94 million. Summer 2016, the NBA salary cap exploded thanks to a new TV deal. Front offices had more money than sense, and Memphis, they were desperate for relevance. Chandler Parsons had just wrapped up a decent, not great season in Dallas. 13 points a game, 2 knee surgeries, but somehow he sold Memphis on the dream. They offered him 4 years, $94 million. No team option, no injury clause, just vibes. And right after he signed that contract, his knees said, "We're out." Parsons played just 95 games total over the next 3 seasons. He was making $24 million per year to average 7 points and sit out entire months at a time. His Instagram? Fire. His outfits? Legendary. But on the court, fans started calling him the highest paid cheerleader in NBA history. To make it worse, that same offseason, Memphis let go of Mike Conley's core supporting cast to make room for Chandler. They bet the house and lost it all at the table. And Parsons, he never played a full season again. He retired quietly, with nearly $130 million earned in total career earnings, and maybe 130 memorable games total. What happens when a team gives a loyalty contract and pays a finals MVP for what he used to be, not what he could still do? You get Andre Iguodala's $120 million swan song, the deal that nearly broke the dynasty it was trying to protect. The year was 2017. The Warriors are on top of the world, fresh off their second championship in 3 years. Steph was untouchable. KD was in his bag. And Iguodala, a respected vet, a glue guy, the former finals MVP who kept the culture tight. But Father Time doesn't care about locker room vibes. Andre was 33 years old, averaging just 7.6 points per game. But in free agency, he played it smart, leaking interest from rival teams. The Rockets, the Spurs, even the Kings were allegedly offering big bags. Golden State panicked. They couldn't lose him, not after all he'd done. So they offered 3 years, $48 million, on top of the $72 million he'd already earned since joining the Dubs. Total payout in Golden State, $120 million. The result? Andre played like a veteran, emphasis on veteran. Declining speed, back tightness, inconsistent jumper. He was solid, but never again the finals MVP they'd hoped he'd flash glimpses of. Meanwhile, the Dubs bench collapsing. No cap space left, depth gone. And by 2019, they were begging for minimum contract reinforcements. This wasn't a catastrophic deal, but it was the kind of quiet overpay that cracks a dynasty from the inside. Golden State paid top dollar to keep the family together, but instead they bought 3 years of decline and delayed the inevitable rebuild they had to face. Imagine giving $171 million to a player and then watching him tear his Achilles at home while recovering from another injury. Welcome to the John Wall experiment in Washington, the most expensive what-if in NBA contract history. In 2017, John Wall was flying high, literally and figuratively, an all-NBA point guard, lightning fast, posters on every backboard in the East. He averaged 23 and 11 that season and led Washington to its best run since the Gilbert Arenas era. The Wizards didn't hesitate. They locked him up with a 4-year, $171 million supermax that wouldn't even kick in until 2 years later. They thought they were securing the future. Instead, they accidentally signed up for the downfall. Months after the ink dried, Wall injured his knee, then his heel. Then, while rehabbing at home, he slipped and tore his Achilles. He didn't play a single game in the first year of his new deal. Meanwhile, the checks kept clearing. 2019, $38 million. 2020, $41 million. 2021, $44 million. 2022, $47.3 million. All while playing in just 40 total games across 4 seasons. The Wizards, They couldn't trade him, couldn't cut him, couldn't build around him. And they couldn't move forward until Houston took a shot on him years later in a swap for Russell Westbrook that somehow made both teams worse. John Wall's Supermax became an anchor, not because he wasn't good, but because the injuries obliterated what could have been. It's not his fault, but in terms of ROI, this might be the most financially devastating deal ever signed. In 2020, Duncan Robinson was shooting like the second coming of Ray Allen. By 2022, he was getting DNPs in the playoffs, while cashing checks worth $90 million. This is how one of the NBA's sharpest shooters vanished before the ink even dried. Duncan Robinson's rise felt like a movie. Undrafted, D3 transfer, working in a summer camp to draining threes in the NBA Finals. By 2020, he was the sniper Miami didn't know they needed. He hit 273s that season, fourth most in the league. The Heat made a Cinderella run to the finals. And Pat Riley, he rewarded Duncan with a 5-year, $90 million contract, the largest ever for an undrafted player. From bus rides in the G League to beachfront mansions in Miami, it felt like a feel-good story until the Heat realized they had just paid elite money for a one-dimensional player. By 2022, the scouting reports were out. Can't defend, can't rebound, can't switch onto anyone. And if he's not hitting threes, he's unplayable. He went from starter to bench warmer, from finals minutes to completely out of the playoff rotation. In the 2022 postseason, he averaged just 5.6 minutes per game after Game 1. And yet, the checks kept coming. $16.9 million, $18 million, and a final player option at the $19.8 million still looming. The Heat tried to trade him, no takers. Why? Because in today's NBA, you can't drop nearly 9 figures on a guy who can't guard a folding chair. Duncan's still a weapon, still capable of microwave moments. But when the playoffs hit, coaches need dogs, not floor spacers who go cold. And Miami, they got stuck holding the bag. They gave him $177 million to be the future, and he turned into a ghost with a max contract. This is the scandalous downfall of Ben Simmons, from all-star to all-absent, from cornerstone to cautionary tale. 2016, the Sixers had been tanking for years, and when they landed Ben Simmons with the number 1 overall pick, he was the prize. The prototype, 6 foot 10 inches, could pass like magic, guard all 5 spots. He was marketed as the future, and for a while, he looked like it. 3 straight all-star selections, defensive menace, transition monster, and when paired with Embiid, they looked like a dynasty in the making. So in 2019, Philly backed up the Brinks truck. 5 years, $177 million, fully guaranteed. But the cracks were already forming. Then came the pass. 2021 playoffs, Game 7, Hawks versus Sixers. Simmons, wide open for a dunk. Passed the ball instead of rising up. The crowd gasped, the internet exploded, and his own teammate Embiid threw subtle shade in the press conference. That one moment was the end of his Philly career. But what happened next wasn't just about basketball. Ben Simmons ghosted the team, refused to play, cited mental health reasons, but wouldn't speak to team doctors. Fined millions, then filed a grievance to get it back. He held the Sixers hostage while collecting a max salary without playing a single game. The league had never seen anything like it. Eventually, Philly had no choice. They traded him to Brooklyn for James Harden. Fresh start, right? Wrong. Since arriving in Brooklyn, Ben has become a shadow. Knee pain, back flare-ups, nerve impingement, availability, spotty. Aggression, gone. Production, non-existent. In 2023-24, he played 15 total games, averaged 6 points, on a contract paying him $35 million. And next year, he's due nearly $40 million. Simmons didn't just burn Philly, he's been an anchor in Brooklyn. And the drama, the tension, the money still hasn't stopped. His fall wasn't just physical, it was mental, political, and personal. Teammates questioned him, coaches protected him, fans gave up on him, and now he's earning superstar money for G League level minutes. Ben Simmons wasn't just a bad contract. He redefined what a bad contract could be. Not because of injury, not because of age, but because a franchise paid max money to a player who mentally and emotionally walked out of the league while still sitting courtside.